The New York Football Giants lost in a way that up until this point, 1,602 teams hadn't lost. And no, you are not hearing me wrong on that number. That's right, folks. Up until October 19th, 2025, teams who had led by 18 points with less than 6 minutes to go in the fourth quarter were 1,602 and 0. And the New York Giants just broke that generational streak. Folks, welcome to Frank Talks Football, and today we are going to figure out just how the New York Giants did something that may never be done again. So what went wrong? How did the Giants do something that 1,602 teams had never done before this? The answer lies within one quarter of football, in which the Giants let up 33 points. That's right, 33 points in a quarter of football. That's absurd. And one of the key reasons for this is because of the defensive disaster class that was the fourth quarter, coached by Shane Bowen, their defensive coordinator. For the entire game, the Giants had been getting to Bo Nix. They were making him feel pressure. They were making him feel uncomfortable, and you can tell by the way he played. But it ultimately just seemed like the Giants defense gave up and sort of lost all of the gas that they had going into that quarter of football. Obviously, they were dealing with some injuries to safety Javon Holland, who went down with an injury in the game, but backup safety and specialist Dane Belton came in and actually did a pretty solid job covering his role. Players like Abdul Carter, Kayvon Thibodeau, and Brian Burns, who was, for me, the defensive star of the game, had phenomenal days. And Brian Burns actually had 2 sacks on that game as well, adding his total up, showing just how strong and dominant that Giants defensive line could be against one of the better teams in the NFL in that standard. And I'm pretty sure we all know the common saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And, well, that's exactly what the Giants did. The Giants tried to fix something that wasn't broken, and that was taking away what they were doing the entire game, which led them to the success that they had against the Broncos. Aside from getting home to Bo Nix on almost all the drives that they had, the Giants swatted the ball and broke up plenty of passes, with a lot of them coming from the line itself. I mean, the Broncos were a team that were struggling with passes being deflected and swatted down, but the Giants were doing this really well, and was ultimately a key reason why they had been so successful up until that very point in the fourth quarter. Many people around the NFL, both experts and fans, believed that the New York Football Giants defensive line was gonna be one of the key reasons why they could be successful in 2025. And this was myself included. Again, I want to continue to hammer this point. You have people like Kayvon Thibodeau, Brian Burns, Dexter Lawrence, and rookie Abdul Carter on that line, and that is a force in itself. So the fact that you would want to take away from that in the fourth quarter and completely change up something is something that just, to me, doesn't make any sense. Again, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But to me, I think this massive lead that the Giants had was actually one of the key factors in their downfall in that fourth quarter, in the sense that I think they just became way too comfortable where they were. They started taking the foot off the gas and really pumping the brakes on the defense with their play calling. And one of the more notable players on that Giants defense, Brian Burns, had this to say about the decisions being made on the defense. Yeah, that's not what you want from your star defensive player. And honestly, I don't blame him for criticizing Shane Bowen and the defense as a whole. Now, Burns has since come out and said that this wasn't directed towards Shane Bowen, but I mean, the writing's kind of clear on the wall. I don't know if you can hear in that clip. He mentioned drop 8, which is something that the defense did. They dropped 8 people in the coverage and they only rushed 3. And that's what we call prevent defense. Or as some of us like to call it, prevent yourself from winning defense. And sure, you could say, oh yeah, the Giants are up. I mean, it makes sense for them to, just make sure that they're not giving up the big play. Make sure that they're not giving up chunk yards, blah, 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 blah. But that's exactly what prevent defense does. A lot of times, and especially in late game situations, prevent defense means that you are dropping people so deep into that back of the field and near the end zone that you will leave the middle of the field so wide open, which ultimately allows those chunk yards as a whole. If you want a key example of what prevent defense is, just think of any time you see a quarterback going for the Hail Mary. You're rushing 3 people and you're dropping everyone deep so that the player does not catch the ball that is thrown by the quarterback. That's prevent defense. When you line people up so deep that you leave that middle of the field wide open. But that's not the situation the Giants were in. There was still plenty of time for the Broncos to mount this comeback. I mean, sure, yeah, there was 6 minutes left in the game, but when you're lining people up so far deep off the line, even I could get open in that. Again, this was just bad situational football and coaching by Shane Bowen. And again, I feel like I wouldn't be criticizing Shane Bowen if this wasn't the first time we saw this happen this season. If you can recall, Shane Bowen coached this exact same scheme during the Cowboys game, and this wasn't in a time when the Giants had a big lead. For the most part, this game was a shootout, and the biggest difference maker in that game was the kicker that the Dallas Cowboys have. Brandon Aubrey is notoriously known for how absurdly far he can kick field goals. I mean, the dude kicked a 67-yard field goal. That's insane. Insane. So the fact that Shane Bowen would line people up so deep in that game as well, when they know their target line is the 50-yard line, just doesn't make any sense to me, and is a key reason why I am once again criticizing Shane Bowen for this defensive play calling. Oh yeah, and as I mentioned, the kicker being the difference, that was also the difference maker in this game as well. In week 3, the Giants unfortunately lost their kicker, Graham Gano, as he got injured during pregame warmups again, and they had to make a choice. They had to make a choice to sign a different kicker, and one of the key additions that they made at kicker was kicker Younghoe Koo of the Falcons. And the other option Giants brought in was kicker Jude McAtnemy out of Rutgers, who for this game was their starter over Younghoe Koo. And sure, you may think to yourself, okay, the Giants got 2 options at kickers. They're bringing in this guy from Rutgers. Sure, they lost Graham Gano, but I mean, he's a kicker. He makes extra points and field goals all the time, right? This is an easy job. This is fine. He'll be able to do it, right? No. He missed 2 crucial extra points, which ultimately led the New York Giants to go for 2 after 2 of their scores, which, by the way, they missed. But I think this brings in the question of why Jude McAtnemy was starting over Younghoe Koo when they brought in Koo before they did McAtnemy. Now, sure, Koo had himself a rough season last year with the Falcons as he went 25 for 34 on field goals. But when you think about his comparison and competition that is Jude McAtnemy, this was a guy who, at Rutgers, when he was actually kicking for them and not relinquished to the kickoff duties, he went 12 for 18 of field goals, which, if you do the math, is a worse percent than Younghoe Koo. I don't know, it just doesn't make sense to bring in someone to start kicking for you when they had the duties relinquished to them at their college. I mean, in the past, Koo was a proven guy, so I think just starting the veteran in a big game like that is the better move, in my opinion. It just feels like whether it be them getting a field goal kicked against them or not having the right personnel, the New York Giants always have this consistent mismanagement of kickers and is one of the big reasons why they haven't been successful in recent history. Oh, and look at this. As I'm recording this video, Adam Schefter just tweeted that the Giants released kicker Jude McAtnemy. So this can only mean that they are sticking with Koo for the rest of the season. But I'm not just going to sit here and harp on the negatives, because during this game, there were some major positives that we took away from this game. And I think right now, the biggest one is that, guys, Jackson Dart might be the next one. Sure, you can call me delusional, but look at what Jackson Dart did against that 4th-ranked Broncos passing defense. I mean, this was a defense that was allowing, up until that point, 180 yards in the air, and he passed for over 100 more than that with 280 yards, tossed 3 touchdowns, and even ran one in on a clutch drive, which he missed an extra point. But again, going back to that clutch factor, Dart was able to extend plays so long against that Broncos pass rush. And I think the best example of this comes from a 44-yard touchdown pass to Daniel Bellinger, in which he was basically dead to rights, extended the play, and found a busted coverage in that Broncos secondary. And sure, he didn't get away from all of them as the Broncos had 4 sacks in that game, but again, this sense of urgency that Jackson Dart brings to the Giants, which in the past quarterbacks didn't necessarily have, or have this ability to extend the plays like Jackson Dart does, is one of the key reasons why I think Jackson Dart can bring life back to the city of New York. He's smart, he's fast, he brings a sense of moxie to New York, and we needed this so bad after the failures that we've had at quarterback in recent years. And the craziest part is he's doing this without Malik Neighbors and Darius Slayton. And sure, while one of them might mean more than the other in this instance, the fact that he is missing two crucial wide receivers and still able to extend plays and find receivers in open space is a credit to him and the offensive line for giving him the time to extend those plays. Quarterback and offensive line had been the positions where the New York Giants were struggling to find their people, and I think we might finally have a unit in these aspects of the game. On top of that, we're seeing guys like Wan'Dale Robinson step up and fill the shoes of Malik Neighbors, and don't count him out now, but I think Wan'Dale Robinson could be a legitimate weapon for the Giants, even with the return of Darius Slayton and Malik Neighbors. Oh yeah, and don't think I forgot about Cam CTE Scadaboo, who even CTE fears. Him alongside a building offensive line has brought back a running game that the New York Giants had since lacked since the departure of Saquon Barkley to the Eagles. Oh yeah, and can you guys remind me who has more yards than Saquon Barkley? Oh yeah, it's Cam Scadaboo. Right. No, but all jokes aside, Cam Scadaboo has brought a sense of electricity that they've lacked at the position, as he currently has over 400 yards and is averaging 4.1 yards a carry. If the offensive line and the run game can continue to develop and hold up, I genuinely believe that the New York Giants have a bright future. And sure, while this might have been a tough loss, you can always look at the brighter side of things in games like this. But folks, that's going to do it for this video. If you like this video, please be sure to leave a thumbs up and even consider subscribing, as it shows that you genuinely enjoyed the content and want to support me as I look to grow this channel. Not only that, but if you disagreed or want to continue chatting about this, leave a comment so that I can hear your guys' thoughts on the video. And folks, that is all from me today. Again, if you liked it, please be sure to leave a like, and I hope you all enjoyed this installment of Frank Talks Football.